In this video, we're going to talk about the design differences between the modern high-speed Beyblade X system and the classic plastic generation Beyblades that started it all. So with me, I have the first two Beyblades that were released in the anime from each era, Dragoon S and Dransword 360F. And so I'll be using these two Beyblades to show the design differences from each era. So with Plastic Gen, these Beyblades were made up of four main parts: the attack ring, the weight disc, the spin gear, and the blade base. And each part would be made out of plastic, hence the name Plastic Gen, except for the weight disc, which was made out of metal. Now, building and customizing these blades were pretty fun because of the different parts you can swap and change. And so even though this was the first original Beyblade era, straight away we were given the freedom to customize and understand the different Beyblade types. Now, when it comes to Beyblade X, in terms of the parts and customization, things are a bit different. These Beyblades use a three-part system, which is the blade, which has a mixture of plastic and metal. I'll say mostly metal, the ratchet, which is plastic, and then the bit, which is also plastic. And so having only three parts makes customizations very simple and limited. However, as the Beyblade X seasons continue to evolve and grow, more and more parts are being added to a standard Beyblade X Beyblade, which is obviously very exciting because this makes building and customizations more fun and intricate. Plus, I think it's fair to say that Beyblade X is probably the most competitive era that we've ever had in Beyblade. More and more people are getting involved into competitive blading because of Beyblade X. And so customizing and knowing the different Beyblade types become even more important if you're playing competitively. Now, looking at both Beyblades side by side, I think it's clear to see that Plastic Gen Beyblades are a bit more fragile and looser, whereas with Beyblade X Beyblades, it's a stronger, more fitted Beyblade. And given how these Beyblades are meant to perform during battle, it makes sense as to why they're built and designed the way they are. With Plastic Gen, the battles are fairly basic in a normal standard base stadium, where there's not crazy high speeds or massive impacts. However, with Beyblade X blades, the battles are pretty much the opposite, where Beyblades can hit really high speeds because of the extreme line. And of course, having large amounts of metal on the blades makes the impact during battles a lot more powerful. Now, in terms of aesthetics and looks, for me, Plastic Gen Beyblades just look amazing. The design of the attack ring with the bit chip, and even how the stickers fit into the Beyblade is all top quality. Now with Beyblade X, the aesthetics aren't too bad. The blade itself looks really nice, especially with the metal contact points, but you can tell with a Beyblade X Beyblade that the design is made first for performance and then aesthetics after. And that's okay because that's pretty much the way Beyblade's been heading since we had the release of Metal Fight. But if you look at Plastic Gen Beyblades, no two Beyblades had the same parts. You can see that with Dragoon S, the design of the attack ring and the blade base were only found on Dragoon S, which made every Plastic Gen Beyblade unique in its design. Whereas if you look at Beyblade X, if you look at Dransword, yeah, the blade is unique for Dransword, which is fair enough. However, the ratchet and the bit can be found pretty much in any other Beyblade or even in a random booster. And so it just makes the aesthetics a bit limited with Beyblade X blades. But again, like we said earlier, Beyblade X is a lot more competitive, and it's almost like a sport-like event, which is actually really cool for Beyblade. Plus, the Beyblades need to be designed in a way that deals with high speeds and lots of impact, and so having the design and the parts the way they are makes perfect sense for Beyblade X. But that's pretty much it for this video on the design differences between Plastic Gen and Beyblade X. You can let us know in the comments which design you prefer and why. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.